Hi, and welcome to my channel where I discuss anything and everything autism and biomedical treatment related. I am not a medical professional. I am simply making this video as an educational tool to help families. So today I wanted to briefly chat about why it is so important when beginning your biomedical journey that you work on healing the gut first. So from the very beginning, that should be one of the first things that you address, because I know there's a lot of families that are wondering where to get started. And so gut. Over 90% of children on the autism spectrum have gastrointestinal issues, and it contributes to a lot of symptoms and behavior related to autism. So the reason why it is so important that you start with healing the gut is because the gut is in control of so many things. Some of the gastrointestinal issues that children on the spectrum suffer with are things like leaky gut. So leaky gut is when the lining of the stomach is compromised and there's almost like little holes in the stomach lining, which allows food and toxins and anything that's being digested to pass through the stomach lining, where it can go into the blood. It can create almost like an allergy or an autoimmune response that the body is seeing a foreign substance floating around in the blood. It can create antigens. It can cause inflammation. Some of those toxins could make their way up into the brain by crossing the blood-brain barrier. So it's really important that you work on healing that way when you start giving these supplements and treatments, that they're actually being absorbed. And that can also be contributing to some nutrient deficiencies in children or poor absorption of foods, vitamins, minerals. Another gastrointestinal issue that's commonly seen in children with autism is gut dysbiosis. So gut dysbiosis is when the microbiota of the gut is imbalanced. There needs to be a good balance of beneficial bacteria. You don't want things like yeast overgrowth, overgrowth of bad bacteria like strep, for example, which can contribute to aggressive behavior. You don't want parasitic infections. Those parasites could be causing damage to the gut lining, and they could also be consuming a lot of those nutrients a person is eating, also contributing to a nutrient deficiency. Another gut issue often seen are things like poor digestion, constipation, or frequent diarrhea. The frequent diarrhea could be causing malabsorption, again, that nutrient deficiency. It could be causing constipation. A kid could be in pain. If a child is constipated, their body is not frequently and actively removing of waste and toxins from the body. This is really important for when you start doing some detoxing protocols, or like anti-cutler chelation, for example. One of the chelators, alpha-lipoic acid, is excreted through the bowels. So if you are doing this heavy metal detox and you're using a substance that excretes metals and toxins through stools, your child needs to be going. You don't want that sitting inside of their body. You don't want them to be reabsorbing those toxins or having wasted in them for too long. The gut also is a major part of the immune system. Some might even argue the gut is the immune system. So if your child is constantly getting sick, that is something that needs to be looked at and addressed. There is also a huge connection between the gut and the brain, and some have even deemed the gut as the second brain. A lot of important neurotransmitters, such as serotonin, for example, are primarily created in the gut. If your gut is not functioning optimally, you could be having an imbalance of neurotransmitters that control things such as mood and behavior. Also, gastrointestinal issues can be contributing to picky eating. So for example, as I previously mentioned about there being gut dysbiosis, if there's like yeast overgrowth, for example, it's going to cause a child to crave sweets and sugar and carbs. So if you're filling the gut full of nutrient-dense foods, you're balancing the good bacteria in the gut, your child is going to start craving more of those foods because that is what the bugs in the gut want to feed off of. That's what they're craving. If you continue to feed your child unhealthy foods or processed foods or foods that are high in sugars, it's going to feed the bad bugs in the body, and then your body's going to continue to crave those things, and that can contribute to picky eating. So if you want your child to eat a more well-rounded diet, you might need to be addressing gut dysbiosis. So if you are just new to learning about this and you are kind of wondering how to go about getting started, or how do you know if your child has gut dysbiosis or gastrointestinal issues, I would say it's safe to assume if your child has autism, they most likely have leaky gut, gut dysbiosis, and gastrointestinal issues. It might sound gross, but just look at their stools. If they're having mushy, sandy textured, abnormally colored stools, if there's undigested food in their stools, if they're having frequent watery or mushy diarrhea, if they're constantly constipated and just not going to the bathroom, if their bowel movements smell very foul. Different gut issues can cause different scents or textures. Some of the other testing that you could do is you could do allergy testing to see what foods are causing different immune responses in the body, causing an allergy or a food sensitivity. If you continue to give those foods, most likely it's damaging the gut and it is causing allergic reactions or autoimmune response, inflammation, all those things that we previously mentioned. You could also do an organic acids test. That's a good starting point, as well as a comprehensive stool analysis. Another way to help aid the gut in healing is to reduce exposure to different toxins, so things like glyphosate, heavy metals, processed foods high in sugars. Diets are huge. That should also be one of the very first steps that you take. So removing inflammatory foods or foods that are known to cause different sensitivities, foods that act almost as opioids in the brain, cause addictive types of behaviors. Some of typically the first foods parents will remove are things like gluten and dairy, and then they can move to things like corn, soy, food dyes, food flavorings, sugar. There are many diets that are popularly used with success in the for children with autism that have gastrointestinal issues. Some of these diets include the GAPS diet, which stands for Gut and Psychology Syndrome, the READ diet, which focuses on eliminating hidden sources of MSG and balancing those neurotransmitters. There's also the specific carbohydrate diet. There's the low FODMAP diet. So many different diets. Just with a little bit of research, you can read about all the different diets that are popularly used or commonly used, and you could work with a MAPS doctor or holistic or functional medicine or biomedical doctor to help pick the right diet that is specific for your child. Just because it worked for one does not mean it's going to work for yours. Every child is different and has unique issues going on. For example, one child could have bacterial overgrowth in the gut while another child has yeast overgrowth in the gut. So they would definitely need to be taking different supplements, go on different diets that are specific to what is going on with their body and meets their needs. And lastly, of course, there's tons of different supplements that are helpful in healing the gut. Things like antimicrobials, depending on what kind of pathogens are imbalanced in the gut, whether it be needing like antifungals or antibacterial, antiparasitics. There are things that help heal the gut lining, such as aloe vera and L-glutamine, for example, licorice root. And then there's enzymes, so there's digestive enzymes. There's also enzymes that specifically help break down biofilm in the gut. So biofilm is like a sticky matrix that hosts different pathogens like yeast, and it will cause chronic yeast issues until you actually break up the biofilm. Biofilm is extremely resistant. There's a few different products offhand I can think of, like Candex, Candidase. I know Clear Labs makes one. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there's a few different ones that are really good for breaking up biofilm. There's also binders that can be taken that help kind of detox the gut. Things like activated charcoal. They also help remove ongoing exposure to toxins from the stomach. They also help eliminate toxins from the stomach, such as exposure to glyphosate or heavy metals, or helps clean up the die-off. And you kill off a pathogen, it releases toxins back into the gut or the body, and the binders go in and mop it up and help it be excreted. That way it's not in the body causing damage. I can't really offer advice on what your child should do specifically. I just wanted to make this video to explain why it's so important, so you could look into addressing this with a medical professional, your child's doctor, or so you could continue your own education and research some of the things that were mentioned in this video. Healing the gut is extremely vital for recovery. So I hope that parents that were confused about where to start with this, they found this helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. And if there is something that was mentioned in this video that you would like to learn more on, I can definitely make another video to elaborate more on that. So just let me know in the comments. You can find me on Facebook. My Facebook group is Health and Hope for Autism. I also have a Facebook page and Instagram page where I share information, research, resources, all kinds of stuff for families. The pages are called Spectrum and Sunshine. I will leave links to those in the description. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified when I share future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!